Radio Raheem in Riyadh with Frank Warren. It seems to be our second home these days. There's so much going on in boxing. It's like I don't want to just tick down the list. I feel like even we in the community have to hash out exactly what the landscape looks like. And of course, you being really in charge of almost the entire heavyweight division, I might as well start there. We'll figure out exactly where everybody is placed now. The first and maybe biggest news is Fabio Wardley becoming heavyweight champion by a series of events that were quite unlikely this time last year.
That's true, but he deserves to be where he's at. I mean, he was quite willing to go and challenge Alex Usyk for the title, but he decided that, I suppose, it's risk and reward, and he's got other ideas in his head. So Fabio's been crowned the champion after beating the interim champion in Joe Parker and the number one challenger to Usyk. So, he deserves it.
You couldn't be happier for Fabio Wardley, but boy, the flip side of that coin is you couldn't be more devastated for Joseph Parker. Now, granted, obviously, we're going to get to the drug test and all of that, but before we even get there, the choice of having had that fight and then the stoppage, which, I know that you agree with the stoppage, but he doesn't. I mean, how many decisions there did Parker make that went south?
Well, I mean, the drug thing will be resolved by UCAD, which is the British drug disciplinary panel. They'll determine that. He'll obviously have to be called before them. There'll be a hearing. He'll present his B sample and have to explain if the B sample is the same as the A sample, how the substance got into his system. That'll work out. That's beyond our control. The stoppage I thought was spot on. What the referee was spot on. I've watched it back a few times. Referee in no shape or circumstances made any mistake. And Fabio deserved to be there. I mean, he was well behind on the cards as he was in his previous fight against Hooney, and done it and finished in sensational style. He showed what he is. He's got this massive heart. He's got this massive determination. One split second is all it takes for him, as he said himself, and he can change the whole dynamic of a fight. And he's done it, and that's why he's now the WBO champion.
If this finding hadn't come across, what would Joseph Parker be in line for right now? Would we be seeing the talk of a rematch?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe a rematch, I'd like to see that fight again. It was a cracker of a fight. There's plenty of fights there for him. Maybe fighting Daniel Dubois, which is a fight that never happened. There's all sorts of permutations. But we've got to deal with what we got now. And what we've got now is Fabio, and next year making the first defense of his title.
Well, I asked that because, like most fighters, he's no different in saying this didn't come into my system by voluntary. I don't know how it's there. All the things that you normally hear. If it is in fact true, it's such an elongated process, though.
I find it unacceptable. It's happening. It's happened to numerous fighters, and it's happening at the moment to Dennis McCann. It's a year now that he's been out the ring, and why haven't they just set the bloody date for the hearing? It's as simple as that. Get it on. Obviously they've been arguing certain things on Dennis's behalf, his legal team, but the facts of the matter is, get it heard. This thing should be sorted out by the British Boxing Board of Control in the UK. I don't agree with this, that it's passed on to UCAD. I believe that the boxers are licensed by the British Boxing Board of Control, and I believe the Boxing Board of Control should be right. You now have to you've been tested positive. You have to put your B sample in with a certain amount of time, and after that B sample has been submitted, there will be a hearing date within a month.
That's not the case, and not even close.
Dragging on and on. It doesn't happen with the other sports. It just happens with boxing.
Now, in this case, we're not talking about a performance-enhancing drug by schedule.
Well, it's on the banned list. End of story. You can't have, if it's on a banned list, it's a banned drug. And I'm not sure that there's a school of thought, and I'm not for 1 minute prejudging anything with Joe. I hope this is all going to turn to his advantage, because if it does, we're delighted because he's with us and we'll carry on promoting him. But if it's on the banned list, that's what it is. And there is a school of thought that cocaine can also be enhancing what it does to your senses and so forth. So I'm not quite sure about that, but it's on the banned list. And it's banned, it's banned.
Last one on this. This is the first guy I see most people saying, I can't believe it. that, when a fighter says he hasn't done something and the drugs have turned up in his system, most people are like, yeah, right, you didn't do it. Joseph is the first guy where I hear most people saying, I need more proof. This is unbelievable.
If I had been told that we had one of the boxers on the show had been found or had tested positive, I've got to be honest, he would be in the last two. I swear to you. I was shocked more than anybody, especially what he's been tested positive for, even more so.
Moving on, we spoke about, or you at least mentioned Daniel Dubois and the potential fight with Parker that didn't happen. And then maybe if he hadn't had this test, maybe that's a matchup he could be looking forward to. I was surprised to hear that Dubois had pulled out of his position. What's the thinking there?
Well, the thinking is really simple. It's an IBF eliminator. And the winner of that won't even be the mandatory. They've already got a mandatory challenger. And the IBF's turn in the next mandatory against Alex is not until, I think that's sometime next year, which means if Daniel participate, and I believe he would have won the fight, he would have got his shots from probably another 18 months to 2 years because you've got the 4 governing bodies and the rotation, or 3 now because he's vacated, but you've got the rotation system. He's not going to fight more than twice a year if he keeps hold of all his belts. So therefore, it made no sense to do that. And he'd also lost his position in the other governing bodies. So we want to keep him active. We want him in big fights. We want to get him in there fighting for a title straight away.
Of course, you and Sam have been saying that it's a big fight on the horizon. Like he's not going to take some walkover fight. He's going to get right back into the fray. Then, if not Sanchez, who does look good for Dubois' return?
There's a lot of them there for him, and we're working on it now. There's some couple of great ones, but
just mention the couple of great ones you're thinking of. When you said that, whose name came to mind?
I think we got 10 of the top 13, so and a couple of them are fighting at the moment, so any of the other 8.
Speaking of mandatories, obviously Usyk has got his fingers on all the strings, has allowed for Wardley to be elevated, but there's still some question as to what he's going to do with the rest of these belts and what his next challenge is. You have most heavyweights. Which direction do you want him to turn?
Every one of his mandatories are with us.
Right. So, if you put the midnight call in Alexander, which way would you like him to turn?
Well, I think Alex is at a stage now in his career. Let's be honest, he's undefeated as a professional, undefeated cruiserweight, and obviously at heavyweight. All he thinks about now at this stage of his career is risk and reward. That's what it is. So he's looking just for big money fights. That's what he wants. That's why AJ's fighting Jake Paul. That's why they talk of Tyson fighting AJ next. They're all about risk and reward fights.
But is there a big reward out there for Usyk? I don't see a name that just immediately jumps to mind.
I'd be sitting there thinking, hang on, why? If I'm looking as his manager, not as his promoter, why am I? I'd love that Jake Paul fight. I'd love to fight Tyson again. Make the Tyson fight again. There's loads of things there, but I can't speak for him. He's a lovely guy, and I've got a lot of time for him. But they're not idiots. They're very smart people, and they'll make the decision as to what they intend to do.
It'd probably be better for you if you just go ahead and retire, right? Then you'd probably have 4 heavyweight champions on your hands.
That's good, but then you want to see one of the guys beat the guy, don't you? That's what you want. He's the guy. He's the guy. He's the fella that everybody's got to beat. He's the best of his generation. The wins that he's got, and he's the one that they've all got to beat. I know that Tyson wants to fight him. He's told me that time and time and time again.
Well, he's put everybody down. Last one on this. You've got everybody lined up to be next in line. If you had one more shot at it, if Usyk says one more fight and I'm done, who are you putting in to get that title off of him?
That's very difficult. It is very difficult to answer that. I mean, the fight I'd like to see, because I think he deserves it, would be Tyson. But let's see what happens with Moses. Let's see what happens with Fabio. I mean, it's a very difficult question to answer. I mean, he's a superb fighter, Alex, but somebody will have the key to that door.
I've got to let you go soon, Frank, but I can't get out of here without talking about that Paul and Joshua fight, what the ramifications are. I see Joshua as a potential fight for Wardley. I mean, that makes perfect sense if he wants another heavyweight championship.
Now they've got different trainers. It would be done in a heartbeat. But I don't believe that AJ would take the fight.
I mean, why not? He says that that's
I'm with
what's
you.
most important to him.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I mean, that'd be a great fight to make. You know, why not? Why not? Look, he's getting that Netflix fight's going to be a massive, massive fight. Yeah, it's going to generate a lot of money. It's a lot of people going to tune into it for obvious reasons.
It'll make Joshua Fury bigger, no? I mean, that puts Joshua as a bigger star.
It may do that, and then Tyson's got to make a decision as to what he's going to do.
They say that Joshua's got 2 fights coming. Fury probably being the second of those 2. But Eddie's saying it's all down to Turkey. Is there no way that you see maybe the February fight?
It's a bit down to Tyson first of all, because he's got to decide whether he wants to do it. And as far as His Excellency is concerned, it's going to be about Tyson's expectations and can they be met. That's really as simple as that.
2 more questions. Is there any way in the world you see Joshua matching up with Wardley? Is that a fight that you've offered to Matchroom? It makes the most sense, especially if we're walking up to Fury Joshua.
You're asking the wrong person. Us in a heartbeat.
You put it to them.
I haven't, but in a heartbeat, it's there to be done.
And lastly, Fury returning, is he not taking a fight in the interim if Joshua's on the card? Is it just he's coming back for Joshua or Usyk or nobody else?
We've got to see how it all pans out. And I've got to be honest, I can't even tell you right now.
All right, you can't tell me right now. I'll ask you again tomorrow.
I don't even know right now. I can't tell you.
Radio Raheem with Frank Warren here in Riyadh. Massive card this Saturday. That's tomorrow. Yet again, can't wait to see the ringside action sitting right there with you, Frank. Thank you for the time. Radio Raheem, Frank Warren.